So what do you think will happen if this actually goes through? It seems like it is now. But what do you think will happen? Crime's going to go skyrocket, obviously. If you defund the police by that much, essentially what's going to happen is criminals out there who don't respect law anyways are going to do more crime. And then let's say there's some of the proposals here. Let's bring them up. Okay. Remove 911 dispatch from police control. Okay. Don't necessarily understand what's behind that. Only that they want to ensure that the police officers who are dispatch callers don't put out armed officers to, normal, I guess, run-of-the-mill, non-violent calls for service. Again, don't understand that. Scale up community-based solutions to public safety. What does that mean? What are the solutions? You just can't say, we have solutions, and then go, okay, great. Well, what are they? Oh, we have community-based solutions. Great. What are they? Fund a community-led process to imagine life beyond policing. And they say libertarians are crazy. Think about that for a second. Imagine a life beyond policing. Sure, that's fantasy. And you don't want that. That's basically anarchy, if you will. Because let's say someone steals your car and you know who it is. Who are you going to call? Oh, that's right. You got to call the community-based solutions to the public safety, and also imagining a life beyond policing, because, yeah, that would make sense, right? No. Invest in affordable housing. Great. They did invest in affordable housing up in Minneapolis, but they burned it down. So what does the police chief have to say? Her name is Carmen Best. Well, she's got a lot of things to say here in a letter that she wrote to the veto-proof city council. It's Mayor Durkin, all the deputy mayors, all those. While the police department is still assessing the potential cuts the Seattle City Council will offer, there will be a clear and urgent public safety issues I must make you aware of to inform the broader budget discussion. With little to no engagement with SPD, Council's articulated a plan to cut the SPD's budget by 50%. SPD is fully committed to assisting the city in meeting its budget's needs. That's you're going to have to for the remainder of 2020, as well as engaging in a broad community-led discussion around re-envisioning community safety. She's got to say this. She's got to be public instead of she said, "Oh hell no, this is bullcrap." But she's got to say it this way because she is a police chief. She could get fired essentially any time. And we all know what's going on right now with cancel culture. These 2020 cut scenarios by the council are political gestures. They are. However, not realistic for rational solutions. SPD is so absolutely committed to transforming the department, has already stated the process. But if we're asked to cut 50% of our department overnight, we will be forced into decisions and discussions, most likely, that do not serve our shared long-term goal of re-envisioning community safety. The true impact of these cuts is amplified by the short time remaining in 2020 to achieve and operationalize these reductions. As well as 82% of our budget is personnel. There you go. It's not about really defunding the police. It's getting rid of police. So with $20 million in savings already identified by your office, the only way we could achieve the added council reductions in 2020 is through severe cuts to our sworn and civilian workforce. Below I outline how we could achieve those reductions and still support department's core service 911 emergency response. I'm not going to read all of them, but let's go read some of the. Close the Southwest Precinct. Southwest Precinct was opened in 2003, and previously the West Seattle area was served by the South Precinct. Currently, the Southwest Precinct is staffed by 100 sworn employees. Redistributing these 100 employees to the remaining 4 precincts would help offset some of the cuts. I think this is the most important part. 911 response. Patrol staffing would have to focus exclusively on 911 response. He would have to significantly cut or eliminate bike units, foot beats, community policing teams, and anti-crime teams. I understand there is a belief that on an average day, officers respond to very little violent crime. First, there is no average day. Okay. So she gives you all these budget, but it's still, that's 500, let's say the budget was 409, some of the $400,000 million range. So they're going to cut it by half. You're going to have to lay off some police. Um, she basically what I've already just talked about. She's about redirecting money to community-led safety and housing programs. So this is a veto-proof majority. It's going to happen, but they don't really tell you what community-led public safety means. Again, is it a social worker that's deputized, that's armed? Because if you're a social worker by trade, you usually work in an office, and you get your job changed, or you want to do this, what are you deputized? Are you going to go on a violent call? What if you don't want to go on a violent call? That's not really part of your job, I would have to say. Already talked about she thinks the budget it's political gestures. It's not realistic or rational. The police chief says added cuts between 550 and 80 million this year, in addition to the 20 million pitched by the mayor, would effectively cut the department's fourth quarter budget by 100%. The only way we can achieve that level of cut within our last 4 months of the year is to terminate or transfer approximately 1,100 employees, or over 50% of our total workforce. This would leave us about 603 deployable sworn members in the department. It says, according to the police chief, labor rules in the existing contract would see the fewest new officers terminated first, which is more of a broadly diverse group than the senior staff. Best says the department would need to take drastic action to maintain patrol and would likely close the Southwest Precinct. Already discussed about that, move them around. Another area impact, Best says, among the 250 members of the Criminal Investigation Bureau, the Homicide and Violent Crime Unit, and Sexual Assault and Sex Offenders Unit would be halved under the chief's assessment. Many others would cease functioning, shifting responsibilities to patrol officers or federal and regional partners, including auto theft, investigations, burglary, theft, domestic violence, elder abuse, fraud, forgery, gang unit, high-risk victims, internet crimes against children, narcotics. Wow. Budget discussions continue at the Seattle City Council on Wednesdays, with no legislation on police cuts has been finalized or voted on. That was July 10th, which was yesterday. I think it was an update. So there you have it, folks. Again, these nebulous terms, community-based led programs, that doesn't tell me anything. It just seems like, oh, just give us money, we'll figure something out. That's not how it works. You need to have a plan. And obviously, what you may see a lot of times, especially, I'll give you an example. When healthcare was, essentially government-run healthcare in the United States was sort of, boosted and funded, they'll essentially, just pull one of their plans out of their drawer. See, here's what we mean. And what you see here is basically, in and of itself, this is planned from the beginning. Whoever the Marxists were, is to demoralize the police, make everything, dangerous, and then you come in on your white horse and saying, if you vote for me, I'll fix everything. Conspiracy theory, if you will. But a lot of times, conspiracy theory turns into conspiracy fact. And defunding the police by 50%, there's no conspiracy here. It's a fact that if you want violent crime to skyrocket, defund the police by 50%.